Devil May Cry 4 always had a very special place in my heart. It is, after all, the one game that actually brought me very close into gaming, and ironically, it is the same game that nearly pushed me away back in the days. I came across this game first time when I was a little child at a friend's place. I got to watch the cutscene of Burial's boss fight and the subsequent boss fight after that, and the whole experience left me in awe. So much so that I just remembered this game until the day I finally got a laptop during my college days, and Devil May Cry 4 was one of the first games that I ever played, and the experience was so good that any other games after that during that period of time felt a bit boring. I just loved the art style, the combat was exhilarating, and the presentation was just so cool that nothing else just hit the spot for me after that. It's not because the other games were objectively boring or Devil May Cry 4 was perfect. It's just that Devil May Cry 4 just kind of hit with me at a very special level. Now, given that history, now after years of playing other games and finding a new obsession in the Souls genre, I thought that maybe I should go and check that game once again, go back and check that game once again and see how I feel about it after experiencing other games and having a new perspective and overall thought process in about video games in general. I did not have any doubt about liking the game. It's just that I want to see if the game fills me with the same level of adrenaline and excitement like it did back then. Because again, as I said, this game nearly pushed me away from this hobby of mine. And fair enough, once I played the game, I really did not have any sort of negative feelings about it. As a matter of fact, the entire playthrough was just once again filled with that rush of excitement true and true. And the core contributor for that is definitely the combat system. I think it is safe to say that in general, people do know that the combat in Devil May Cry is just something very special. The fluidity, the flow, the animations that work out is just something else, and it's really hard to find the same thing in any other game other than Devil May Cry. This is something that I already said in the Devil DMC 2013 video that I recently made. It's just feels very amazing to be able to execute any move at any sequence at any time, and everything actually syncs up well too. So that's how we actually create all those combo systems that we can see on the internet. Now, that's it, I'm not that good, but the thing is that I can still pull off some sort of thing out of doing all those move sets at some sequence. It's very difficult to explain that, but the key point is something that always keeps on going on in discussion forums, is that player expression and the execution, the way we can execute the moves is just, the game just allows the players to be expressive about their creativity or the moment-to-moment thinking, and it just feels exhilarating to actually do those things. But apart from the combat too, I always really liked the design aspect of Devil May Cry 4, even in comparison to what Devil May Cry 5 made, and I played Devil May Cry 3, and even out of the entire franchise, personally, I really liked the way Devil May Cry 4 was designed in terms of its art style and its presentation. I liked the character designs quite a bit. Dante and Nero looked really cool. Trish was, she's cool too, and Lady was a bombshell over there. I know that's a bit of a contentious topic. I have come across, while doing the research, I have come across a lot of people who are kind of dissatisfied with the way Lady was designed, but hey, personally, it kind of triggers my monkey brain, so I kind of like it. But otherwise, the character designs were really great, but more importantly, what I loved a lot in DMC4 was the enemy designs. They felt very unique and they just felt very unique. I don't know how to put it. I never really liked, even in case of demons, the grotesque designs were never really my kind of thing, and I always like it a bit more if they are a bit more wanky in their designs. They definitely do look dangerous. I mean, look at the Archangelo, I think that was the name, or that electric demon, that guy, the hounds, the fire hounds, and then we have those icy monsters. They look really dangerous, but at the same time they have a kind of charming look to it. It's really weird art style that I just like it a lot more in comparison to any of the grotesque designs that normally other games tend to go for. And it just, as I say, it just spoke to me at a personal level, and I just like it so much, and it just makes it a lot more entertaining to actually watch everything go on the screen as I see all these amazing designs that are going through that have been done in this game. And to add all those things, we have the cutscenes, which are just epic. I don't think anyone can tell me that I'm wrong when I say the DMC4 has some of the best cutscenes out there. They're wanky, they're funny, they completely express the characters very well. It's just amazing. If you think about the initial cutscene where Dante just steamrolls the entire force of that cathedral, it's just insane. Right after that, we have Dante versus Nero. Again, a great display of power and along with some bit of comedy. I mean, Dante's taunt to Nero, that has to be one of the most dirtiest taunts out there for in any media. And then of course there are these action sequences that at times we just come across, which is just so good. I still remember the burial cutscene when Nero come across Burial first time. That sword class, that is just, it sends chills down my spine. Now I understand all these things, I'm not talking objectively, but that's the thing. I don't want to talk objectively about this game. I just want to put out my personal feelings, and I just love the overall presentation of this game so much. It's way over the top, and it's exactly how it goes on the internet. It doesn't exactly take itself seriously, and it doesn't come off as being a try hard. It's just is, and it just is acceptable, and it's just fun to even actually watch all these things unfold as the game goes by. And of course, since I was talking about Burial, let's just get into the bosses now. I know I jumped out very rapidly because I don't have any script these days, so hey, excuse me for that, but yeah, the bosses are again really great. Burial, I don't know. I mean, the frog guy and Burial kind of have. I think the frog guy was called Bale. It's confusing. Sorry, but hey, both of those boss fights are great. The snake lady, Plant Snake Lady, she was great too, but my personal favorite is Kratos' boss fight, and holy shit, that boss fight. Back in the days, that has been, even now actually, it is hands down one of my most favorite boss fights of all time, including any of the Souls games that I have, all the Souls games that I have played. That boss fight is just something else. In this playthrough, actually, I was trying a lot to throw back Kratos' spear back at him again, but I was not able to do it. But yeah, we can do a lot of amazing things in that boss fight, and it's just freaking awesome. And again, design-wise, Kratos' design is, oof, that is sweet. But that said, one of the major reasons that I really wanted to play this game was because I was constantly come across the internet how, well, despite all the love that Devil May Cry gets, it definitely does have a bit of a taint in the overall community, and I really wanted to explore that game once again to see how I feel about the whole thing, especially now that I have actually played a lot of games and I have I believe I have a better perspective about video games in general in comparison to what I had back in those days. So I really just wanted to see for myself of what exactly this game does wrong alongside what it does right, and also to wait out if the bad weights heavier than all the good that the game has to offer. And drawbacks are pretty intense, really, especially considering all those platforming sections that we had. Those are just some of the worst platforming that I have played in any video games. The camera angles are absolutely horrendous, and also there is a lack of consistency in the overall mechanics of how the platforming goes. Exhibit 1 is in this section where as Nero we need to cross across the room by using his Devil Bringer. It lacks consistency, and every time we fall down we need to fight the enemies again and again. Now, no complaints about the combat, but the thing is that when we are not progressing through certain areas, it's kind of a bit annoying, and especially considering the fact that we are getting barricaded by a mechanic that is not exactly functioning properly. It becomes it becomes infuriating at times. And then we have these sections where we need to get up the wall by jumping into these jump pads, and the angles are just absolutely horrendous in this one. It's almost near about like a trial and error in this part. But however, the game does take it leniently, but again, it's not a good experience. If you cannot exactly design a good experience, then better just leave it out and not put it in the game in the first place. So yeah, the platforming was absolutely horrendous. And then another common problem that we keep on getting to here is the repeat of the levels as Dante. I did hear a lot about the game not being exactly complete, that it was rushed out, and Dante sections was just put at the very end or towards the end and whatnot. I don't know the details about it, but yeah, the Dante section definitely gets repeated. We need to go through the same levels again and again, deal with the same enemy more or less. Yeah, and it does feel a bit lackluster, but at the same time, I mean, it's considering it's Dante, we get an entirely new moveset. Dealing with the enemies in a different way definitely felt very good. Although in terms of levels, yeah, definitely the same thing repeats, so it tend to be a bit of a miss over there. However, one thing though I will just add, the forest levels still did add that gimmick of having those teleporters going around in a different pattern, which was personally I liked that little change in that particular level over there. But yeah, repeating levels definitely was not exactly a very highlightable point over there. It definitely cuts down a few marks in there. But more egregiously, more than repeated levels, what I did not like about this game is the repeated bosses. Now, as Nero, we take those bosses, take on those bosses, they escape, and as Dante, we get to approach those bosses in a different way and then fight them out, which was really great. I did not mind until that part. Where I really mind was towards the very end. We get into that board game kind of thing, the dice game, where the bosses are repeated once again in there. And albeit as Nero now has a lot more moveset, his movesets are almost 90% unlocked by this point. At least for me, it happened like that. So we had a lot of different approaches available, but it's still the same bosses a third time, and it just did not feel right to go through those once again. I would have rather not had to have to face those bosses again. It just felt like something that is put in there as filler, as what we call in anime as a filler content, and it's just unnecessarily increasing the playtime. It just did not feel right over there. And of course, not a repeat boss, but a savior boss fight was absolutely boring as hell. I did not like that. But overall, even though the negatives are quite heavy, especially in part in terms of the platforming and the bosses, the good is just way too good. And as I said earlier, playing through this game just filled me with all those adrenaline and excitement once again, and I enjoyed every single moment of that I spent playing this game. And even till this day, I have to still say that Devil May Cry 4 is definitely one of my most favorite games out there, and I don't think it'll change anytime soon.